So I might identify earlier and later stages in two groups. Let's call them conventional development and post-conventional development, or conventional stages and post-conventional stages. And we typically use the word earlier stages and later stages. We don't say lower and higher. That's also a part of the ethics of using this framework. So at earlier stages in the conventional realm, we see that people tend to do either or thinking, black and white thinking. They have more simplistic frameworks that determine the world of their own meaning making. They tend to not able to regulate or modulate their emotions well. So emotional intelligence might be requiring more development at earlier stages. Even the way they solve problems, problems are seen as linear problems. They tend to not be able to do systemic thinking. They tend to not be able to see complexity in situations and can be reductionist in their approach. They may have some tools and frameworks they use, and they could use those tools and frameworks in a limiting way, in a sense that they make reality fit into their frameworks rather than look at reality through their frameworks to understand where the limits of their frameworks are. So correspondingly, at later stages, you find that people are able to do more complex thinking, more systemic thinking, and they're not limited by either or thinking. They begin to realize that some situations, it's not either this or that, it's both. And they recognize when there's a false choice being made. And so they begin to see gray areas, and they also begin to hold paradox where they can do both and thinking. They're also aware of their emotional responses and are able to regulate and modulate them so they can have a perspective on their own emotions. They tend to not project, negative judgments on other people. Even if negative judgments arise, they have the capacity to reflect and notice it's their own interpretation as well. So they begin to see themselves as a contributing factor in any situation, any problem that they are part of. They begin to see themselves as a player, and they see it as a contribution system. So those are some of the things you begin to see at later stages of development. There's greater reflectiveness, greater self-awareness, and that's not necessarily something that comes just by expanding your skill set and learning new tools.